Welcome to Scofield Farm. I'm Carice. Today I am finally starting some seeds for the summer garden. Finally starting pepper seeds, which I have a video about peppers I will link to below, but I usually start pepper seeds at the end of January. This is the first week of March. I don't know if I'm gonna finish tonight, guys, so this is late for me. Good thing we have a long growing season here in Northern California. We are actually zone 9B. I still have time. If you are just starting seeds now, you probably still have time too. In fact, you might be in an area that you would start seeds later anyway, because you might live where it's pretty cold to set them outside. Now, we don't plant till usually end of April or so outside. Our last frost date's technically the middle of March. Last year, our last frost date was, I think, like February 10th. However, the lows were still too low to plant things like peppers and tomatoes outside in the ground. So we still waited till the very end of April, start of May to actually transplant. So there's plenty of time, no worries. The only things that might struggle a little bit are my super hots. So I am not doing Carolina Reaper this year. I have some other fun super hots I will share with you, but I'm just gonna take you along with me and we're gonna get started. I want to first show you how I make my seed starter mix. I like to make my own instead of buy it at the store because it's more economical and I can control what's in it. Okay, one of the first things I'm gonna do is do my seed starter mix. This year, the mix I'm gonna do is about 60% peat moss, 20% perlite, 15% vermiculite, and about 5% worm castings. I like to mix my own seed starter mix. The reason why is big box store small bags can add up, get rather pricey. It is actually cheaper to buy huge bags of stuff like down here in bulk and mix it myself. My husband made me a sifter. This is hardware cloth. It is 1/4 or an 1/8 inch. It's interesting, it's a little varied. I would say it's probably supposed to be a 1/4 inch, though there's some closer. What it will do is it will catch the really big pieces of like bark in the peat moss or big chunks of perlite. So that I'm going to do because you don't want too big of chunks of things when you're in a really small seed starting cells like these that are only 1 inch by 1 inch. It could block off most of the top and the seed won't poke through and germinate like it should. So I want to make it smaller and I'm going to mix it as I go. You always want to get your peat moss damp first, and then once I do that, because it expands, that's why it expands and gets bigger. If you use coconut coir, same thing, it'll expand, soften, get bigger. And then as I mix it, I'm going to probably add a little bit more moisture till it is about the dampness of a wet sponge. I don't want it dripping wet. I don't want it dry. I want it kind of right in between. So that's what I'm gonna do. Imperfect measurements. I have this cup from a old coffee shop cup, and I'm just gonna like measure 6 of these. 2 of them for perlite, 1.5 for vermiculite, maybe about 1/2 of it of worm castings. And then I will mix that up in this container and I'll start filling my trays, my seed starting trays, and then we will get out the seeds. I already have them labeled. Pretty cool. I use just tape, Scotch tape, and then that way bring the lights really close to them when they do germinate so that they get as much light and don't get leggy. I've done it with the little like label things from old window blinds that I made. I made a cute little video. It's a 3-minute video way back when I started my channel. I can link to that. But I'll put those later in the garden, not here because I want to get the lights really close when the seeds actually come up. Two, 3. You can see pieces of bark in here. That's part of why we're doing it. We don't want anything too big. 4, 5, 6. that's okay. I'm gonna probably use like a spoon, just like I would sifting flour in the kitchen. I'm just kind of gonna rake it over there and see if there's any large pieces that need to be taken out. And then I'll do the same with my other ingredients. This right here is a lot finer, and I got these different pieces of bark out of it, so it definitely has been worth it to sift the peat moss so far. Okay, I have the perlite, the worm castings, and the vermiculite on here. Just gonna do the same sifting thing. Make sure nothing is too crazy of a large piece. This is a 1/4 inch, I confirmed. So it's not tiny. You could do an 1/8 inch, but I feel like a 1/4 inch is still gonna be an improvement from what it was like when I was not sifting. So see how some of those are really big? We're not gonna use those. This is mixed. I did like 3 times what I showed you. I put water in it. It's like a damp sponge. You don't see any dripping, but it's nice and combined and damp, and I can start filling my trays with this. Now we have our cell trays full of the seed starter mix that we started and mixed. We have lots and lots, lots and lots and lots and lots and even more peppers to start. I think that I am starting 39 varieties, I think. I'm gonna have to double check with you because, as I said, there's a couple I decided to not do this year, but that was only a couple. I really like peppers. Peppers are probably, I'd say my top 2 favorite summer things to grow. That's hard to say. I'd say they tie with tomatoes. I'm really bad at picking favorites. You might hear me say something else is my favorite in a different video, and that's because I always have my favorites change. But I really like peppers. I like sweet peppers, mild peppers, medium peppers, hot peppers, super hot, burn your face off, hot sauce type peppers. I like all of them, and we do a lot of preserving of them, so it is worth it for me to grow these, even when it's been actually kind of a hard start to the year for gardening, because we've had a lot of things go on in our family right now. I might share a little bit with you, but let's go ahead and get started first. I am going to start with 2 new to me peppers. We have Amish pimiento sweet pepper. I don't know if that shows very well for you, but that one is new to me. And then arroz con pollo. This is one I heard about through Roots and Refuge. I don't know if it's gonna focus for you. And those both look fun and new. I like to try new things. These are gonna be new ones for me. I'm just gonna do with my new peppers, 1 per cell. I have these seed trays I got that Charles Dowding uses. I have pluses and minuses about them. They are just 1 inch by 1 inch. They have these cool little holes the size of your finger on the bottom. They're very easy to transplant. However, they are very small. So they grow out of these cells very fast. I don't have a greenhouse. I start things inside. So I have to move everything up to cups fairly soon. However, they save space because they're so small. A downside is you might have like half of them germinate before the other one, and so that can be a problem. With peppers, I always like to use a heat mat. I didn't used to. These have been a game changer for germination rates. I have a lot more germinate, a lot better, percentage using a heat mat. I just got these on Amazon. They're not anything special. I just look for something with a decent rating. I also like to use, these are kind of big, but I like to use some sort of dome. I do take these off as soon as things start germinating, because as soon as things germinate, I want to get those lights way down low. That's why I use tape to label. I don't want my markers to be in the way of the lights. So I will take off the dome before we're all the way germinated. I will keep them on the heat mats, but the dome is just kind of, because they're so small, I want to keep the good moisture level and not have them lose moisture too fast. That's why I do them. All right, let's get started. Now you don't have to plant pepper seeds very deep because you usually plant seeds twice the depth of their size. They are very small. So I basically just cover them with a little bit of seed starter mix. I don't go deep on them. You don't have to either. Just doing 1 per cell on the new peppers or things that I don't necessarily need to sell. Banana pepper is one of my kids' favorites. It's actually one that's easy to sell to local gardeners because a lot of people know what it is. So I'm going to do 2 of these in each cell. That'll be like 12 plants if they all germinate. I've never had 100% germination on any peppers that I do, but even if I do, I will definitely have use for these or find someone else who does. Next I'm gonna do blot. It's a very pretty, colorful, like bell pepper, and we like them. I have a lot of different bell pepper varieties. I'm doing those, so I'm just gonna do 1 per cell of this one. And part of the reason we are getting started late, which I like to try to be real with you guys, because we are imperfect homesteaders and gardeners, but we do grow our own food even when things don't always go smoothly or right. I want you guys to feel confident that you can actually grow food, you can homestead, you can garden, and not be perfect at it. Just actually do what you have the capacity to do in the season you're in. For us, I thought that this year would be smoother than last year. Physically, it is. Last year we had surgeries. My husband had knee surgery, I had shoulder surgery, we had a lot of recovery going on. However, this year we had an unexpected death in our family, and so that threw me off. That basically, when I thought I would start seeds and get some stuff done in beautiful weather, I was with my grandma, and 40 of my family members were also with her. I have a wonderful grandma, very, very loving, very purposeful and intentional in connecting with her family. When I tell my friends that my kids were there with her for her final days, we were able to have her at home. It was very unexpected. She has recovered from so many things. My grandma survived brain surgery from a brain bleed at 94. So she is an incredibly resilient woman, but this, whatever, it started with pneumonia, and it's a long story, got complicated, but this was not expected. And so my grandma is my gardening buddy. She did not grow food, she grew flowers, and she grew beautiful, amazing flowers, like an English garden in her front yard, and then container gardens on her back deck of every kind of beautiful flower or flowering plant that you could think of. Peonies were her very favorite. She actually gifted me some beautiful peonies that I have in a pot out in front of my house when we bought this place, because she wanted to share the love of peonies with me. And now I have 3 varieties of peonies out there, and I look forward to when they bloom every spring. It's such a short time of blooming for peonies. They're so beautiful. And we would text back and forth about plants and flowers, and I had questions for her. She knew the names of everything. She knew how to take care of all sorts of flowers and what they needed and when they bloomed. And I'm gonna miss her a lot. So getting these peppers started, I didn't even know if I was gonna do it. It's just been a lot of challenge. We had some other challenges with our garden that intimidated me that aren't quite resolved, but hopefully they do resolve. And then just dealing with grief. It is a lot. And I know that I want to grow food, want to be able to do this. Gardening is therapeutic for me. It is, I say gardening is my therapy. I like getting my hands dirty. I like being outside. I really like the sunlight. We have very, very hot summers. in Northern California. We actually got up to like 122 last June. That is higher than normal for us, but 115 is not unusual around here. I like the heat. I like being outside. I like the sun. So I need to do my garden. But my motivation, to be perfectly honest with you guys, my motivation has not been there. So I'm doing what I know I will be thankful in the future. My future self will thank me, but it's not because I am feeling it right now. Another new pepper for me this year is called the giant Marconi pepper. I love sweet peppers. I have other ones that I've done. I have Corbaci, Corno di Toro. There's an emerald giant bell pepper, chocolate cake sweet pepper, another type of bell I got from Redwood Seeds. I'm trying out this year. So we've got a lot of fun sweet peppers. This whole tray I'm doing right now is like sweet peppers. And I think I have some sweet peppers that are sharing a tray with mild ones. So we definitely are fans of sweet peppers around here. We love them. A lot of the ones in this tray are 1 per cell just because I have so many kinds of sweet peppers. I want to make sure to have room for them in my garden. And then since some of them are unusual, I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure how many I wanted to take care of starting this late for selling to people. And I also wasn't sure what ones people would be familiar with for getting. So a lot of these that are new to me, I'm trying out for myself, and then I'll be able to give good recommendations if they're things that I like. My favorite sweet pepper, I think, is actually Jimmy Nardello. And I had to buy another pack of seeds, different seed company, but same wonderful pepper. It is very sweet. It's very delicious. I think my whole family loves to just snack on this one in the garden. I'm gonna do 2 per cell of that one because I wanna have a lot of these in the garden just because we all like them so very, very much. Now when I get these in, if I have seed starter mix that's a little bit on the dry side, I will like spray it in. I don't know if I'm gonna spray these in or not. I'm trying to think about it. Maybe I'll get one of my kids to get a spray bottle. I think this is plenty damp, but just to give the seeds a little moisture themselves to help them germinate, I'm just gonna lightly cover this with a little bit of seed starter mix, very, very lightly. I don't wanna plant them too deep because when the seeds germinate, they have a certain amount of energy to push through to get to the light. If you have them too deep and they push through and they don't ever make it to the surface, they're not gonna live. So I'm gonna do it loosely, lightly. I sifted it. I'm so glad I sifted this year. I'm curious how much of a difference that's gonna make because I don't usually sift my seed starter mix. So hopefully that makes it even better germination. So I'm just very lightly covering them so that they are not showing, but I'm not even going to, I don't even know if I'm gonna press down. Maybe very, very lightly because I don't want them to be too compacted. Fast and easy. I'm going to be very glad I did this. I do like sweet peppers. Some years I'll get enough bell peppers and stuff I can freeze some for the winter. This year I didn't, this last year. So I'm hoping that I do this current year. Okay, super simple. I might spray it over them if I find a bottle. Yeah, I think I will. Thank you. Just I'm gonna lightly mist it. I don't want it to be too wet because as I showed you, this is plenty damp. And then I will put the dome over it and we'll get it on heat as soon as we can. I'm gonna crack the top just so it doesn't get too humid. Just a little crack. All right, there we go. That's the first tray. So 1 tray down, 3 to go. That wasn't too bad. Honestly, the prep for starting seeds is more than the actual starting seeds. Writing down the tape, deciding how many, making sure I have all the seed starting mix ingredients, looking through the peppers, deciding which ones I'm doing, which is usually almost all of them. That takes more time than just putting the seeds in the trays. This is the easy part. All right, on the paprika, I like to grow my own paprika. I have this goal of grinding all of our paprika powder. It is a little bit hotter of one, but I like it. My sister can't do heat, so if I were her, I would grow something more like a Jimmy Nardello that's super sweet, and then dry and grind that and have it be like a sweet paprika type powder. Paprika actually means pepper, so it's almost like saying pepper pepper, but you know, in our culture, that's what we call it. We call it paprika powder, which is a pepper powder. So we're gonna do these. These look kind of like little pumpkin shape when they are ready. They're fleshy. You can't just lay them out to dry. You actually have to dry them on a dehydrator or do it really thin sliced, because one time I tried to just like let them dry whole and they molded. So they're more fleshy. Other peppers don't quite have as much moisture in them, so you can do that. But these, it doesn't work so well. Ancho, we love ancho. Again, I want to make my own chili powder, just like I want to make my own paprika powder. So even though we eat anchos and use them in things, I also try to dry them so that we can have like our own chili powder. I still buy chili powder, but I have a goal of doing all of it ourselves someday. I do some of it, but definitely it is not all of it yet. So some fun things when I'm thinking about my grandma that I'd like to share with you guys is when I was a kid, my cousins and I would go down to Santa Cruz. That's where my grandma and grandpa lived. We would have cousins weeks down there, and she would take us to this nursery called Begonia Gardens. And obviously it's gonna have a lot of flowers, specifically begonias. And we would get these bags. My cousin and my sister and I think my brother helped, maybe even my guy cousins, can't remember that for sure. But we would gather all of the begonia petals that were all over the floor of the nursery. And then we thought that we were gonna make like this amazing perfume with it, which was mixing these petals with water. And we would dry the begonia petals. We wanted to have dried flowers, and we just had a blast. All of the names of the flowers my grandma liked always seemed so fancy to me, like bougainvillea and begonia and peony and rhododendron and all of these fancy names. I just thought it was amazing. Very influenced by her. She also could make beautiful, beautiful bouquets and arrangements. I am not quite as good at those as her, but I do have a niece that works in a florist, and she has definitely got the gift for that. So maybe it skipped a generation, but it is definitely still in the family. And what else do I want to share with you? She loved hydrangeas. And so I have hydrangea bushes out on the north side of our house, kind of in a shaded spot because we have really hot sun and it fries them otherwise. And I was so proud of the fact that I got my hydrangeas to be blue, pink, and purple all at the same time, like a combo. I sent her a picture last year. Those are her 3 favorite colors. So that was fun. And I tried to grow a clematis when I first moved here. And I liked clematis. My grandma loved clematis. But I didn't realize that when it says to plant it in full sun, it did not mean full sun here, where it gets to be 120. And so that poor clematis vine completely fried. I still need to buy another clematis and try again in a place that would be more protected from the afternoon sun, because our hottest part of day is like 5 to 6 p.m. That's something I should do, is I should get a hold of another clematis and figure out a place to plant it. These are pequinho peppers. These are tangy. They have a tiny bit of heat. I don't think they're crazy hot, but they're really delicious. And so a friend from Instagram introduced me to those. I really like them, and so now I grow them all the time. Let's see. We also are going to do, this is a saved seed from someone from Instagram. They called it Islay wax. It did not say true to what Islay wax says it looks like online, but it is like huge Anaheim pepper type peppers, huge, much bigger than my actual Anaheim peppers. And I love it. And so I keep growing it, even if it didn't say true. That's a cool thing about saving seeds, is even if you don't have them like far enough apart and they get cross-pollinated either by the wind or some pollinator type insect, like a bee or something else, you might actually get a wonderful accident that is delicious and very productive in your garden anyway. So that's what I feel about these. These are like that example for me of the happy accident that I'm so glad she sent me these seeds that actually aren't true, but they are wonderful. All right, I'm gonna do Hungarian. This is the one that always is so slow to germinate for me. They're not even the hottest pepper out there. They remind me of the hot chilies at In-N-Out. That is why I grow them, so that I can ferment them and have hot chilies on my burgers. I love In-N-Out chilies. But they never germinate very fast. I tried a different seed company. I don't think it's the company. I think it's the variety, but this might be a mistake to put the Hungarian in this cell tray that's like 60 cells, because I have a feeling they're going to germinate a lot later than everything else. And I guess you guys can hold me accountable that if you see me saying they didn't germinate yet, it was a mistake and I should have done something different, but this is what I'm doing. Mistake or not mistake, it's what I'm doing. I need to do Pasilla. We love Pasilla. Pasilla are long, they're thin, they're very, very, very dark green, and I use them a lot in fresh salsa. I'll roast them, put in fresh salsa, but you can use them in all sorts of ways. There's really delicious Mexican dishes. They're like a creamy pasilla type of, I don't even know what you call it. There's a name for it, but it is very, very good. And I've always thought I would make that, but then I always end up using them in other things first, and I don't gather enough to make that specific dish. So we'll see how this year goes. I'm doing 2 per cell because I would like to have a lot of these plants in my garden. I also freeze them so I can use them in things all winter long. I really, really like pasillas. They're not that hot. They're kind of like a medium. I wouldn't necessarily call mild, but I would definitely call them medium. They're not crazy hot. Okay, and then I also am gonna do Peruvian purple. They're cute, they're ornamental, they're great for hot sauce. I'm gonna do Scotch bonnet, which grow fabulous in our area. They are Caribbean pepper, but they grow really, really, really well, like little orange hats. Very productive. And then Thai dragon, which we use as my personal favorite hot sauce that we make. I guess I have another favorite that's a ghost pepper mango one, but something everybody can eat is a Thai dragon. Not quite as crazy hot as the ghost pepper mango. Okay, so third tray now. We're gonna do cayenne peppers, fire and ice. These are small and ornamental. I'm going to do them either on the edge of a bed or in a pot this year so they don't get lost. Ghost pepper, I just have saved seeds for. Habanero, we're trying a red one this year. Lemon drop, these were my first time last year. I am fermenting them right now in the cupboard for a hot sauce. And we're gonna do Ralph Thompson that I got from a friend on Instagram. These are really cute little red pumpkin-y ones that are great in chili. And then Santa Fe, I use Santa Fe a lot in my cowboy candy with jalapenos. And Serrano, those are tried and true. And 7 Pot chocolate, I don't know how these will do this year because I'm starting so late, they're super hot. I've never got fruit from them, I've gotten plants. Tabasco, so good in a hot sauce, and they're such pretty, pretty plants. They look like Christmas lights. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, real fast. Guys, we can do this. We can do a garden, we can plant a garden, we can take the baby steps, we can get it done. You don't have to always be thrilled about growing food to value growing food. And I think personalities like mine, maybe like yours, like to go off of motivation, drive, excitement, and when it's not there, it's easy to quit. But we don't have to quit. We can do it because we know it's the right thing to do and that we'll be thankful later. We have been growing peppers in a summer garden. I think this is my 16th or 17th year. So I'm not new to the game. However, I do get tired and burnt out like everybody else. So I love cayenne. I grind my own cayenne. This is super valuable to me. I know later I'm gonna be like, yes, I'm so glad I started all those cayenne seeds. I also get excited to go look at the peppers in my garden. That's one of the things I like to check when I go out there. I love to see the flowers. I check tomatoes, but tomatoes do not like to ripen in our crazy heat as much. Like I say ripen, but they don't set fruit. But peppers love the crazy heat, so it's fun to go see which peppers are thriving. So I know I'm gonna be very happy about this. The fire and ice, I'm just gonna do one each. They're teeny seeds because they're pretty small little peppers too. So this will be perfect. I actually had enough in my old pack, but I bought a new pack because I wasn't sure. There'll just be more for next year. I'd love to make a hot sauce out of these or even grind them, kind of like a cayenne pepper type of pepper powder. Ghost pepper's fun. I made a wonderful hot sauce with this, with mango, fermented it for a very long time. I got these seeds from a kid in our teen youth group. We pastor a small local church community, and we do the teen Bible study at our house on Friday nights. And so he brought me a bunch of peppers from his own garden, and I saved the seeds from the peppers that he brought me. So these also may not go true, but they will be delicious either way, I'm sure of it. Okay, habanero, I love habanero. It is actually one of my very favorite peppers. And I don't always get fruit from habanero. I did orange habanero before, these are red, but they take a long time to actually set fruit on the plant. So I might be starting these too late to actually get a harvest, I don't know, but I thought I might as well still try. You know, I already had the seeds bought, purchased, didn't cost me more money to try, so I'm going to try and see if there's any possible way we get a harvest this year. I still have some in the freezer, so even if we don't, I have some that I can use. Lemon drop, these didn't germinate for me great last year. I got these seeds from someone on Instagram, but the one plant I had was very, very fruitful. So even if I only have one plant, I know that I will get a lot of peppers from this one. So it's worth trying, and I'm just doing one per cell. I don't know how they'll germinate, but I also don't know who's gonna wanna buy it from me. So I might end up keeping all the plants of this one. You never know. Okay, trying to go fast so we can get this done. Ralph Thompson, this is good. I like these. I've only ever grown them from saved seeds, so I think her seeds must have saved true because they look in my garden the way they say they're supposed to look online. Go. All right, Santa Fe. I love Santa Fe. I don't sell a whole lot of them. I actually think I should, but people just aren't familiar with them. They are like the size of jalapeno. They start a really pale yellow. They ripen to like an orange and red. As I said, I like to mix them in cowboy candy because I like having lots of different colors in the jars. I think they're pretty. So I always have Santa Fe in my garden. I think they're a little bit fruitier than a jalapeno as well, but like a similar heat, sometimes milder, sometimes the same. It just honestly depends on the batch. All right, and we're doing good. We're getting her done. Oh, Serrano. My mom had a bush of Serrano that lived through multiple years, overwintered, very hardy. I'm actually going to do my seeds from that, even though I bought seeds, because I think that that's the kind of plant I would want to save seeds from. It was such a good plant. So we're gonna try it. Okay. See how these do. They're not the prettiest seeds, but it's a really good plant. 7-pot chocolate. Never had these done well for me, but still gonna try it because I do like hot peppers. I'm always curious about hot peppers. So even though I've grown the plants, it still says technically new because I don't think I've ever tasted it before. Maybe this will be the year. You never know. Tabasco is a fun one. They're kind of hard to pick because they're so small and they take up a lot of time, but fermenting them makes a really classic hot sauce, and you thin it a lot, a ton of vinegar. I'll link a hot sauce video. You can do it with any peppers you want. You can add other stuff to it, like I've done mangoes or onions, garlic, or you can just do the peppers, but I like to ferment them first, and then sometimes I thin with vinegar, sometimes I don't. I just use the brine, but making hot sauce is really easy. I'll link it in the description below. You can make it with anything that you grow, really, truly. And you'll get hooked because you'll get to make it the flavor and the spice level that you like best. Third tray done. Just gotta put on the seed starter mix, spray it down, put on the dome, go put it on the heat mat. We are so close to being done. I'm gonna spray this down real fast. Trying to be quick, get it done. On to the last tray next. Okay, so last tray, jalapeno, shishitos, sugar rush peach, yellow sunbright, like a bell, yellow bell pepper, a different kind from a different company, Yolo Wonder Red. Funny story about those. During 2020, I bought these. They didn't have like the regular seed pack size in stock, so I just was like, oh, there's another size, I'll buy it. It was 1 ounce. How many seeds can 1 ounce have? 1 ounce of pepper seeds is 2,500 pepper seeds. Their germination back then was 85%. I'm telling you, I grew these last year for, let's see, 2001, I think it was the 5th year, and I still got over 85% germination rate. So these last well, and I split them up. I sold them for like $1 a baggie to local gardeners, and I still have tons and tons left. So we like them. Yolo Red Wonder. It is the type of bell pepper that often you buy green at the grocery store, but I like to let all my peppers ripen to red because I think it's better when they're fully mature, their flavor. So we like these, and people like to buy these too because they're just such a great bell pepper that I always do extra of this variety, and they always sell out. In fact, often I end up selling a couple that I meant to have in my garden because I want to have lots in my garden, but I feel bad because these sell out so fast. Okay, so I was telling you guys earlier about how my kids and other kids were there with my grandma in her last days and even in her last moments. And I know that might be strange for some people. They're with their great grandma, but my kids had the wonderful privilege, and the other kids in our family, of actually being very, very close to their great grandma. The type of closeness that a lot of people don't even ever get to experience with their own grandma. So great grandma, they call her Amma, was like the affection, intimate, close relationship of a grandma. And so it's been rough around here. It's been a big deal. We had Sunday lunch with her and my mom and my sister's family. And when my brother lived here, his family, every single Sunday, besides if someone was sick or out of town for the last 21 years since my grandpa died. My grandma lived just right around the corner, the neighborhood next to my mom. So we spent a lot of time with her I would go see her with my little girl while we waited for my other daughter's dance class to end. Every Tuesday night, this is Tuesday night, I would have been with my grandma during part of this seed starting time. So it's a big one. It's a big loss. I've had a lot of loss in my family. We are coming up on the 12th anniversary of me losing my dad. And yeah, it doesn't necessarily get easier. Just because you've had loss before doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt deeply each time. And honestly, like right now as I talk to you, it feels a little bit surreal. It doesn't feel fully real to me yet. And I know that that kind of stuff hits in waves. I'm familiar enough with grief to know that there will be days when I cannot stop crying, and there'll be days where it just feels like there's no way. Couldn't be real. My grandma and my oldest son share a birthday, and it's pretty incredible. My grandpa died three and a half weeks before my oldest son was born, and everybody in my family wanted me to have my son on my grandpa's birthday. His birthday was the day before my grandma's, and obviously there's no way you can control when you are going to actually go into labor. And so I felt a lot of pressure, felt nervous. My son ended up being born the next day on my grandma's birthday, and I think that was the way God knew it should be, because he was such a comfort to her to have a new baby, new life, who's cuddly and just wants to be held and loved when you had such a tremendous loss as her losing her husband. It was very special. I feel so sad my grandpa didn't get to meet my son. But I also feel so thankful that my son brought joy in a time that was very painful for our family. And God is very faithful to take things that are not the way that we would want them, and things that are sad and disappointing and hard, and somehow bring good out of it. And I don't know. This is going to be a hard one for me, you guys. I'm very close to my grandma, but I know somehow he's going to have to bring good, because that is the nature of God. And I am very thankful that my grandma was a woman of great faith, and that I will see her again. That is a comfort to my heart that is hard to put into words if you're not a person of faith. But just believe me when I say that the comfort that life does not end here after even a wonderful 96 years, that there is something further, that there is hope, that God will give us life again, is huge. It's big. Okay guys, I'm gonna finish this up. Thanks for letting me share with you about my grandma a little bit. I'm sure that I will bring things up about her in videos to come, because when someone's that big of a part of your life, so many things remind you of them over and over and over again. And I will miss getting to text her, Grandma, got the seed started. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully we'll start more seeds together, or if not, we'll be checking on the seedlings and see how they do. I hope that you are starting a garden for this summer as well.